Hi, today we are going to explore one of the most exciting updates which were introduced in Angular 17, the new control flow syntax using @ref, @for, and @switch. It's more powerful, more readable, and even faster than the old structural directives like star ngIf and star ngFor. But there are some hidden gotchas that can trip you if you're not careful. So stick till the end because we'll also cover performance tips and the real world use cases. So let's see how this works. So before we dive into the code, why did Angular need this? The old structural directives like star ngIf, star ngFor, and star ngSwitch have served us well for years, but they had few issues. They were template syntax heavy, especially when nesting multiple directives. They caused template scoping confusion, like when variables defined inside one star ngIf weren't available outside. And also they weren't recyclable, meaning unused directives code could still end up in our bundle. Okay. So with Angular 17, the team introduced a new template control flow system built right into the Angular compiler. It's faster, type safer, and less verbose. So let's start simple. I'll go into our post list component. Okay. We'll remove the old syntax from over here, the change title and form input, all that. Okay. Along with the bindings, we'll only have the post object that we have bound into our template HTML. Okay. And along with the image source. Okay. We'll also remove the methods that have been implemented over here, the change title. Okay. So I'll remove all of this. So I'll remove the title as well. Okay. Now, now let's do a simple if statement. For example, I want to show this post object dot content when the content data is there. All right, because some post data will not have content data because that might be an optional field. Okay. So what we'll do star ngIf over here. Okay. So what we'll go into the paragraph. Okay, and we'll do star ngIf. Okay, so this is old syntax that we are looking into. So we'll add the condition whether the post object dot content is there, then only show this paragraph, or else I'll show another template, right? So what we'll do else and no content ref. Okay, so this is the template reference that I have defined over here. So I'll assign a no content ref template reference over here with the ng template. Okay, so no content ref. Okay, and now you see I'll have to define a template with the reference variable. Okay, and this reference is being added over into this else part. Okay, and with the star ngIf, I have to import the common module if you are working on the old versions of Angular, and if you are working with Angular 17 or earlier versions, so you will have to import star ngIf because that is recheckable now with the Angular standalone. So what we'll do, we'll import the ngIf, right, from the Angular common, right? So you see the error is gone from here, and now we can use this star ngIf. Okay, so this is also showing us that this is deprecated. Okay, so we'll soon use our new syntax, which is @ref, but this is just for demonstration. So I have added a star ngIf over here, and see that if the content is there, then only show this paragraph with the content that is coming from the post object, or else so this reference that is no, there is no content, then it will show this message over there. Okay, so let's see how this is looking at into our browser. So you see this is the content of the post, this is coming from the post object. Now I'll go into the post object and remove the content, okay, from here, and assign a null value over here. Okay, now we'll go into our browser. You see the no content available for this post is being shown here, that is coming from the reference. Okay, so what we had to do, we had to import anything, right? We had to import this thing, the ngIf from the common module, or the common modules directly from the Angular common. Okay, so now with the new Angular control flow syntax, you do not need to import anything from over here. Also, you do not need to add any reference. For example, if you want to add a fallback sentence or fallback template, you do not need to add the else part into along with the star ngIf, right? So with the new control flow syntax, let's update it. Okay, so I'll add the at the rate if over here. Okay, with the at the rate if, this is the similar to JavaScript expression. That is, you write if statement along with braces. Okay, so we'll do add if over here. Okay, along with that, in the bracket, well, what we'll do, we'll add the same condition, that is post object dot content, if that is true or not. Okay, so we'll do over here. Okay, so if post object dot content is available, then this sentence should be executed, that is the paragraph, right? The paragraph that we want to execute. Okay, so this paragraph will be executed. Now if I want to add any fallback sentence to this if statement, right? For example, if the condition is false, then it will show nothing over here, right? But if the condition is false, then I want to show any fallback template, right? So what we'll do, we'll add a else statement over here, right? So let's say, right, so that's how we can add the else statement to the if at the rate if. Okay, so what we can do, a paragraph or any template that you want to add over here inside this else block. Okay, so you can add this else block sentence. Okay, now we'll remove the old syntax from over here. Okay, we'll remove the star ngIf. Okay, we'll also remove the template ng template and the template reference, because we do not need that, because you with the new control flow syntax, you also do not need to import anything, right? So we'll remove the imports from here and here as well. Okay, so now let's go in our browser. So you see the no content available for this post is also being shown, that is coming from the else part or the else block. Okay, because our post object dot contains is null. Okay, so what we can do, let's add content. Okay, this is the content of the post. This is my sentence that I want to add. Actually, this is being added by the GitHub Copilot, which I have already described how you can use the GitHub Copilot into your project, how you can integrate GitHub Copilot into your project. Okay, so if you have not watched that video, go ahead and watch it. And now we'll see into our browser. You see the content is being shown over here, that is coming from the this if block. Okay, so now coming to the another syntax for the control flow, we'll see the at the rate for, but this is a post list component. We will not have only a single object in our post list component. We'll have multiple objects of post, right? So we'll create an array over here. We'll keep this post object. Okay, so we'll remove. Now I'll add post list array. Okay, so post list should be a variable. Okay, with an array and with this data. Okay, the type should be defined, that should be coming from an interface. For now, we'll add an interface over we'll add the type over here. It should have a title. Okay, with a type string, along with content type string and image. Okay, and that should be an array of objects. Okay, so this is our type. Of course, this should be coming from an interface. I have added, for our purpose, I have added the type over here only. Okay, so we'll add multiple objects. We'll copy and add another object over here. Okay, so this is post title 1 and this is post title 2. This is contains post 2. This is post 1. Okay, so the image is coming from the pixum, so that will be different for each of the objects. Okay, now we have added this post list array inside our post list component. Now earlier what we had to do is we had to add the star ngIf in order to loop over this post list of array. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll go over here. Okay, and we will loop through the post list object, that is post list array. So we'll add star ngFor over here, star ngFor. Okay, the for should be this one. Okay, So I'll add let post object of post list. Okay, so this will loop through the post list and loop through each of these object of this post list and write this syntax over here, right? So this will execute this syntax for each of the object in the post list. Okay, so we have the error because we haven't imported anything from the at Angular common. So this is the import that should not be there. It should be ngFor, that should be coming from the Angular common. Okay, so we have added the for, that is star ngFor, in order to loop through our post list. Okay, post list array. So let's see. You see, it is looping over the post list array and it is showing the post list, post title 1 and post title 2. That is, it's showing all of the post content for each of the post list objects. Okay, now let's check the new syntax, right? The new syntax goes like this. So we'll add @for over here. Okay, inside this @for, what we'll do, we'll do post list over here and track index, that is the post item should not be there but post object. Okay, this is the post object from the post list array. Okay, so we have added this for loop over here, and in this for loop will act as a wrapper for this div. Okay, so this div should be inside this @for. So for each of the object of this post list array, this div will be repeated. Okay, for each of these objects. So we'll remove the star ngFor from here for now. Okay, and we'll also remove the imports from the @Angular common. Okay, this ngFor. Okay, so we'll also see a reference. Let's remove the content from here from one of the object. Okay, so that should be null. Okay, so we have added the post list along with the new syntax of the @for. Let's see in the browser. So you see, this is also looping over the post list object using the new syntax. Okay, and it's showing the post list, post title 2 and post title 1 for each of these. It is also showing the template reference or the else block of the first that is not there inside the post object. The content is not there. Okay, so that is why it's showing the else block. For the other object, it's showing the if block. Okay, so that's how we can see over here. So this is the new syntax for the @for. Now you might have observed track over here, right? This is similar to the track by function that we used to have earlier. Okay, so track expression allows Angular to maintain a relationship between our data and the DOM nodes on the page. Okay, this allows Angular to optimize performance by executing the minimum necessary DOM operations when the data changes. For example, if I add any object inside this post list array, this post list array will reiterate the DOM nodes whenever our Angular refreshes the page. But with the track, it will only refresh that particular DOM node which has been added or which has been updated, not the whole object or not the whole list. Okay, so this is why track is used to improve the performance. Okay, now what should be the track value? The track value should not be anything that is common. Okay, it should be an ID inside our post list or inside our post list for each of the post object. Okay, it should be an ID or it should be any index that you have inside your post list. Okay, it should be a unique value that uniquely identifies our object inside our post list array. Now there are some contextual variables or implicit variables that you can use with the @for. For example, if you want to know whether this current object is even or not, or even or odd, you can add the let statement, that is. Let's say if I want to check if the current object is even, so I'll add is even with the $even. Okay, so the $even is the contextual variable or implicit variable that is coming from the @for syntax. Okay, So you can see that if this variable is even or not, if this object is even or not, that is the current index is even or not, you can identify using this dollar event, or you can identify using let is odd as well, using the dollar odd. Okay, so that's how the new syntax is. So you can also check whether the current element is first element or the last statement using the dollar first. Let's say is first, using the dollar first. Okay, so dollar first only becomes true whenever our the element, the current object is first element, right? If that is the second element or any other element or last element, then this will not be true. Okay, so that's how you can use the implicit variables inside your @for. Now I want to add a fallback with this @for. For example, if there is no data in the post list, I want to show something. I want to show the user that the list is empty or there is no data in the list. Okay. So to add the fallback, earlier what we used to have is that we used to check using the star ngIf, that if the length is there or not, then show this block, or if there is no length, then show some other block, right? But with the new control flow syntax, you can add @empty syntax. Okay, so you can see there are no post available. I want to show it if this paragraph, then I will have to add the @if statement. Okay, what this will do is that if there is no data in this post list array, this will fall back to this paragraph or to this block. Okay, so this will show the user that there are no data in the list. Okay, so let's see how this works in our browser. But first we have to empty our array. So we'll remove the objects from our array for now. Okay, so this is an empty array. So let's see how this is looking. You see no post available is being shown over here. That is coming from the empty statement or the empty block that we have added, right? So this will only work if the post list array is empty. If this is null or undefined, this will not fall back to this empty statement. Okay, now Angular has also updated star ngSwitch with @switch. So let's say I want to have type into our post. Let's re-add the post objects in our post list array. So I want to add id in order to track our post object in the @for. Okay, so this id should be of type number. Okay, so I'll add the type over here, id of type number. Okay, I have added the type. Now I want to also add a type, that is whether this post is public or private. So I'll add a type over here. Okay, that is of type string. Okay, so I'll add type to this object, and type should be let's say this is a private post, and let's say this is a public post. Okay, so I added the type. Okay, now I want to show the type. I want to show something, or I want to show some part of the HTML based on the type, right? Or I want to show public or private based on the type, right? So what we can do over here is that we can use the @switch statement. Okay, so we can add post object inside our @for, because post object will be accessible into this @for block. Okay, so I'll add the type. Okay, so now what we can do, we can use @case. Okay, within the @case we can check whether if this is private, so we can add you can see a private badge over here, or if the case is public, let's say public, I can add the public badge over here. Okay, so I have added the @switch statement. Okay, so this is based on the type. Now let's see into the browser. You see this, the private badge is shown over here and public badge is shown over here, because that is coming from the cases, right? So it also has a default case, so I can add the default over here. You can see the when I show the default over here, I'll have to remove the public or the brackets from over here. Okay. So the default statement does not have any parameters. So case statement have the parameters. So I have added the private parameter. Okay. So this will go into this switch statement based on the type, the post object type. Now this will first of all check if this case is matching. That is, if the post type, the current object that is being looped through is the private post, then it will add the private badge there. Otherwise, if that is not private, the default, this will be the default badge, or the public badge will be applied to that post. Okay. So that was all about new control flow syntax. Now coming to the cases, for example, control flow syntax doesn't automatically create wrapping ng containers. Earlier with star ngIf, we used to add the ng containers, but here we do not have ng containers. So if you need a grouping, wrap your blocks manually into a container. Okay. Also, Angular 17's compiler pre-compiles control flow blocks directly into static views, because we do not have the imports, or we do not have this runtime environment. So nesting too deeply can increase bundle size. Prefer flat hierarchies, for example, flat the @if, okay, or wherever possible. You can also safely migrate from the old star ngIf, star ngFor with the new syntax, that is @if and @for, with a single migration command. I'll share the migration command into the description of this video. Now let's talk about performance. The new syntax is compiler optimized, meaning Angular skips runtime directive lookups. It also reduces chain detection overhead because the compiler generates fine-grained update blocks. Combine it with signals for state updates, you will get micro re-rendering instead of full component refreshes. The pro tip is always use track. For example, I have used the track over here, but I haven't used the ID that I have just added. So I'll use the ID, the post object dot ID. Okay. So this will improve your performance into the list and reduces DOM churn when iterating large list. So that's the new Angular 17 control flow system, elegant, powerful, and blazing fast. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to Frontend Force. Thank you so much.